Well, the band might be gone, but at least the artists are still trying out new music. And here we have Rikard Sjöblom back again with a different kind of a side project. When my heart is filled with snow, On Her Journey to the Sun by Gungfly, or Rikard Sjöblom's Gungfly. So Gungfly, or Rikard Sjöblom's Gungfly, is the side project or more solo project for Rikard Sjöblom. Rikard Sjöblom's main claim to fame is the lead keyboardist and vocalist from Beardfish. Beardfish being one of my favorite progressive rock bands from the late 2000s, early 2010s, like this current decade. And so when Rikard was doing a lot of his solo stuff, that same kind of drive and that same kind of sound permeated a lot of those albums. Now, I've only really heard The Unbending Sleep, his latest side project of his full name, as well as this latest one of On Her Journey to the Sun. And what Rikard's doing now is he's actually the lead, or one of the lead keyboardists in Big Big Train, so I'm glad to see that he's not just pigeonholing himself as a tool to be used by another band, and he's still putting out his own music. That was what I was a little bit, I don't want to say frightened of, but a little concerned of when I saw that he was going straight into Big Big Train kind of full time. So diving into the actual music that we find on Her Journey to the Sun, the latest Gungfly album. Now, I'm going to preface this because I haven't heard the other Gungfly albums, the one that was released in 2009 of Please Be Quiet, as well as the one that was released 6 years ago of Lemon Nations. So I was coming into this album fresh in terms of this project. I want to take care of the main criticism that I have of this album first, because if I get that out of the way, I can concentrate more of what I really loved about this album. The main criticism of this album is that it's a little too long for my tastes. This album is over an hour. It's an hour and 14 minutes, all said and done. And for me, that's a lot of music to get through, especially this type of music. Unless it's divided, I know Flower Kings do this a lot with really long albums, but because they're divided into two parts, it's a little bit more digestible. Here, it's still all in one, and this was the biggest concern that I had for Big Big Train's latest album, is that it was just too long. There's a lot of songs on here that didn't really need to be on here. There's almost filler on this album as well. Like, there's a lot of songs as I'm listening through this that I'm just like, I just don't care. And that's really a shame, because the music that's found on here, like all of Rikard's music, is just brilliant. I mean, songs such as If You Fall Part 1, He Held an Axe, Over My Eyes, The Old Diamond Dies Hard, Keith, all of these songs are the traditional track lengths for kind of a radio friendly, like in and around the 5-minute mark. And these songs really bog down the album. I have a hard time connecting. A lot of it is just the same motifs kind of presented in a different way. It's the same styles that I've grown to love by Rikard without really too much experimentation. So now that I've gotten that out of the way, I want to talk about some of the brilliance on this album, because there are a lot of just superb songs on here. And I want to draw the attention to 4 main songs that I just keep coming back to time and time again. The crowning jewel of this album, and unfortunately it's the first track, and I'm always a little disappointed when the first track is the best track, because after the first track is done, I almost feel like there's nothing too much to look forward to. There's still a lot of standout tracks, but after that first track is done, I'm like, okay, the highlight's done, now where do we go? But Of the Orb, the first track on this album, is just a beautiful track, and this is the one that really, really hooked me. I loved where it goes because it is a longer track, and that build and that drive, this is what I came for a Rikard album. I love the drive that is found on here, the inertia that the song builds to. Once we get into that final piece near the end, it's just so rewarding. Why didn't I die instead of you? I also want to talk about the song that kind of follows this up, On Her Journey to the Sun, the title track. Now, this song, even though it kind of fits into the same criticism that I had before, what really stands out for me is it's the first track that does this, so I give it a pass in that sense, but it's also Rikard's vocal work. Like, we all know he's a brilliant pianist and a brilliant keyboardist, but the vocals on this track just melt me. The passion that is felt and the drive that's behind it is just one to really dig its hooks into you. Where do we go? track that I want to talk about is Polymixia, the purely instrumental kind of halfway point on this album. It's the 6th track, and I love this track for the same reason that I loved Of the Orb. This guy just... The journey that you go on within this purely instrumental track is just a treat. You're never in the same spot, you're always discovering new things, and that big build that we have, it's the climb up the mountain into a plateau and then you dive right back down again. That's what I love about this type of music. I love that journey. I also love how heavy this song is as well. There's some really meaty hooks that we have within the keyboards as well as the guitars. The guitars has some amazing moments on here that I just melt towards, and so it's the blending of the two styles. Now, even though I said The Old Diamond Dies Hard was one of those songs that I wasn't too warm for, I do like the unique approach that they have. This was kind of one of the first singles that was released for the album to help promote it, and so because of that, I approached this song with a little bit more familiarity, and I like the new style that Rikard's playing with here as well. It does have callbacks to a lot of his usual techniques, but what it also does is it provides those techniques in a new format, so that was a really interesting, play out. And the final tracks that I want to highlight are the last two. The River of Sadness, as well as the final one of All of a Dream, because these two kind of mesh together. And with these, it is the longest piece on the album. Now, with each successive longer piece that I've noted, I feel like my enjoyment for them has decreased. And I don't know if that's just because of the long slog that I've had to go through to get to that point, or if it's just these songs don't make as much of an impact towards me. But nonetheless, whenever I hear these songs, I always enjoy and I really dig them. There's not too much that I can say that hasn't already been said of the Orb as well as Polymixia that doesn't apply to the final two tracks. And I think maybe that's part of the reason why with each successive track, I get a little less enthused for each one because I feel like we've already been here. So overall, this album still provides a plethora of fantastic music. If you're a fan of Beardfish, if you're a fan of Rikard's, or if you're a fan of this style of progressive rock music, definitely check it out. There are some beautiful moments on this album and a lot of things to grab onto. I do kind of have a word of caution because for me, I still feel like it's a little too long. A lot of songs could have been shaved off this album that would have really enriched the overall listening thing for it. I would definitely have to say you've got to stream this album. There are moments on here that you have to listen to, but not necessarily ones that you need to have in your collection forever and always. So what did you guys think? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Whatever you thought, let me know by commenting down below. And thank you guys, as always, for watching. You guys are definitely the best. And until next time, notes out.